I saw somebody who I was saying goodbye to. I thought it was done. I thought their time was over. And I don't think they wanted to go yet because of this work, this companionship. I think this level of joy that they receive from having somebody hold their hand, make them laugh, put a smile on their face, keeps them going, because I think it just reignites their cognitive mind and their hearts. For me, the impact of laughter is the ultimate. It brings joy to everyone around, the workers at these memory care homes, those that are doing the work. It's been something to where I now lead more with joy and gratitude because of these people and working with them.
Laughter makes us all feel better. We know this intuitively, and science backs it up. But science is also starting to reveal the particular impact it has on people with Alzheimer's and dementia. In fact, according to research at the University of New South Wales in Australia, humor therapy can be as effective as some drugs in managing agitation in dementia patients. And another study conducted at the Osaka University Graduate School of Medicine in Japan found that the positive effects of humor can last for weeks after a therapy session. But comedy care doesn't just have an impact on the person with Alzheimer's. It has a profound impact on the comedian and the caregivers too.
The impact that Laughter on Call and working with Muriel has had on me has been beyond something I can even really describe. There was some heartache that happened to me last year and beyond that really was sitting with me for a couple of years, and I knew I had to change it. This job fell into place right at the same time as well, where it just allowed me to stop worrying about silly things inside myself because I was seeing the bigger picture of what's going on with Muriel, with these other patients, and just how they needed somebody who had empathy. And it's made my level of empathy grow to something I didn't even know was capable of. Because you have to go in there with a clear heart, a clear soul, a clear head, because there's so much going on for them that you can't bring your crap to the door. You have to leave it there. And often, by the time I'm coming back to the door, by being there, my heart feels clear. It feels just good because I know I'm getting that reaction and that smile or that laugh from them. And it just makes me feel okay. To truly put into words how great this has been for me is hard to say because I think you have to see it on the outside. The outside of me is night and day. God, it's gonna make me emotional from when I started.
You're listening to the Force for Good season of the Tony Robbins podcast. To learn more about the 10 gifts that we're featuring this holiday season, including emotion, drive, growth, joy, gratitude, connection, consciousness, grace, presence, and forgiveness, please visit www.tonyrobbins.com/gifts, GIFTS. And to find Tony Robbins products and events that can help you identify your gifts, go to tonyrobbins.com/shop, SHOP. Welcome back to the Tony Robbins podcast. You just heard from Danny, the founder of Laughter on Call, a company that brings comedy to Alzheimer's and dementia patients, and Michael Piper Uni, a comedic actor and Alzheimer's caregiver. In this episode, we're exploring the gift of joy and how different people experience joy in their everyday lives. What joy means to you and what it feels like to you may be very different from your friends, your family, and coworkers. But for many people around the world, from all different backgrounds, joy is created through expression. In fact, one thing that Tony says is, true joy comes from being and expressing who you really are. You might express yourself through painting, dancing, or the written word. You may express yourself by fashion or the way you present yourself. But for some people, like Roz Clark, the best form of expression is through music. Roz is an opera singer, a classical soprano. She has a full and rich lyrico-sprinto voice and a commanding stage presence. But growing up listening to Motown music, gospel, and jazz, never in a million years did Roz think she would grow up to be a classical musician.
I am the quintessential African-American singer. I grew up in the church. I'm from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. So I grew up in this working class, blue-collar neighborhood. There was a program in Pittsburgh called Centers for the Musically Talented. And so I went to audition for them. And what I always thought was I was going to grow up and become either Patti LaBelle or Dinah Ross and change gowns every 2 songs. Like, that was my plan. When I auditioned, after I sang my song, they asked me to run scales. And so they kept going higher and higher and higher, and so did I. And then they said to me, "You're an opera singer." And I was like, "And what are you talking about?" I was just like, who knows anything about that? I'm from Pittsburgh. I go to a Baptist church. I know how to sing alto. I really came to opera kicking and screaming. I'm like, "Child, no. You don't understand. I need to do the gowns, the stage, the lights, blah, 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 blah." Finally, when I got to college and I was auditioning for programs, every single college accepted me in the opera program. And I was like, "Okay, God, here we go. Let's do this." And so that's how I finally embraced my gift.
Roz went on to attend the University of Pittsburgh, where she studied opera and journalism and was part of the Heinz Chapel Choir, one of the most prestigious a cappella choirs in the world. She even had the opportunity to tour all over France with them. But there was one night in France, in particular, that she will never forget.
As fate would have it, we were in Paris on my 21st birthday. So I turned 21 in Paris. Like, who does that? It was absolutely amazing. And so one of my other girlfriends who also was in the choir also sang jazz. And so Lionel Hampton was in town. The choir was predominantly white. This was, back in the late 70s, early 80s.
If you're not familiar with Lionel Hampton, he was an African-American musician and bandleader who rose to fame during the 1940s and 50s, and whose achievements have made a major impact on jazz music.
We just showed up at the theater and were these African-American girls coming to say, "Hey," and my girlfriend was like, "Yeah, we're here to see Lionel. We're from the States." And they just rolled out the red carpet, just let us in, gave us great seats. And then during the course of the concert, Lionel handed us the mic. We got to sing with Lionel Hampton in Paris.
This particular night would end up making a lasting impact on Roz in a way she never could have imagined. It made her realize that all things are possible.
So what I would say is, again, Pittsburgh was an amazing jazz town with a rich history. And so all the great artists came through. And so having been informed by those elders who taught me and nurtured me, and then to go over to Europe thinking that I'm only going to be singing in Latin and Italian and German, and just happen to be in the same city with Lionel Hampton, and again, get to show up and say, "Oh, wow, yeah, I can sing jazz too, and I get to do this." Watching this icon who was so kind and so open and so